I am honored to have you all on this stage today. Sheena, Acceptance Nurse Psychotherapy, whole bunch of different therapies under that umbrella. You have a whole bunch of people working with you that are also remarkable. I just can't say enough wonderful things. You truly, truly inspire me, and you did the day that I met you. I think I must have been maybe 21, 22, 23, in around there, and you have always stuck with me. So thank you for that. Before we get her going, one more cheer for Sheena.
International Women's Day without lots and lots of tears.
Right? Now I'm going to steal your chair. You can cry about that.
Please, welcome. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you. It's such an honor to share this stage with these amazing, amazing women, some of who I'm just meeting for the first time today, some of who I've admired for such a long time, and for the first time, got to hear a whole bunch of women talk about what it's like to be entrepreneurs. And because I'm isolated where I work. So it's just a gift, so thank you so much. Where to start? Whew, goodness. Yesterday, I'll start with yesterday. Yesterday, I had to accept that my dog might die. And I had to do this quickly because our vet said that mass is a ticking time bomb, and we need to know if you want to do the surgery or if you want to euthanize him right now. And I didn't want to accept the reality that he could die. I wasn't ready to say goodbye or ready to believe he wouldn't wake up at my feet in the morning or greet me at the door after work or bury his head in my side on the couch. And the more I refused to accept that, the sicker he got. But when I embraced this fact for a split second, when I accepted he could die, the choice about what to do about his suffering became really clear. And I'm happy to report he's recovering well at KVEC as of this morning, and was cared for by an all-female vet team who saved his life. Yeah. My acceptance that he might die was ultimately what saved his life and bought us more time with him. Now I just have to accept the pain of an emergency vet bill. I realize the irony of talking about a male being on International Women's Day and how women rescued him 10 years ago and then a bunch of super smart ones saved his life. And trust me, as a lesbian woman, I'm not really that interested in men. So this 10 minutes won't just be about how women are brilliant and being there for their men, so let's give them the day off to celebrate. Let's do all this because, we're great at taking care of them. It's going to talk a little bit about the dichotomy of acceptance and how, while I despise the socialization of men, that leads me to not really like them a whole lot or all that much. I accept that some of the great loves in my life are my 2 teenage sons, Ashwin. This is their incredible bus driver who who drove them safely to school every day for years and years. Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Are my teenage son, 17, Ashwin, and my 13-year-old son, Balin, my father, my brothers-in-law, and some of my dearest friends, and also being okay with being uncomfortable with that binary of dislike and of love. Truly, these 10 minutes are going to be about acceptance, which, by the way, is the name of my clinic. Acceptance Nurse Psychotherapy, just a small plug for the only exclusively run and staffed nurse psychotherapy clinic in the country.
Yes!
I hope nobody's drank out of this. It was going to be about how my life had been a series of screw-its, as in, no one knows I'm a lesbian. Screw it, let's come out on Christmas Day. to my parents, or let's come out and when my sister's doing 120 down the 115. Where I had to accept that my family might reject me, but also knew I needed to love myself more to live into who I was. And I was young enough to think that Christmas Day was a great time in the late 90s to come out. Don't worry, it all turned out amazingly well. That's my mom, Brenda, over there. And my sister, Angela. And my parents walked me down the aisle when I married my wife, who is sitting there recording me. And they were all proud to let their friends know that my wife, Vanita, and I were some of the first legally same-sex married couples in Canada. But because I am a nurse psychotherapist, I needed to dig and explore underneath all the screw-it parts of my life. And what came up is this theme of acceptance. That while I might be able to embrace one part of my life, I also had to accept and be willing to tolerate the pain and discomfort that would come with it. Like when I started my business, I knew in my heart that even though I had no business experience, because they don't teach you about that in nursing school, I knew that this was the right next step for me, and I had to be tolerant and patient with the fear and anxiety inside of me and what it meant to be an entrepreneur. So, screw it. I started my business in my bathtub one late Sunday afternoon in November of 2019. Or when I was offered my first nursing job in Peterborough, close to Peterborough, to be near my family, but was offered my dream job on an island I had never heard of off the coast of northern British Columbia near Alaska. Well, screw it. Let's sell everything and move out west. Accepting the pain of leaving the comforts of my home province for the pain and growth and amazing experiences and adventures I craved. It was the same thing when we decided to move back here. Screw it! Let's go back. Accepting the pain of leaving behind the community we had created while holding the knowledge of the blessing that being closer to family was going to bring. And then to move to a bit more nuanced place of acceptance of my family's heritage. When an elder in my family received what I call our colonizer papers. These papers are prideful proof that our family, as descendants of United Empire loyalists, were some of the very first to help shape Central Ontario into what it is today, and accept the shame and discomfort that my ancestors were some of the first colonizers of Central Ontario, and we even have the papers to prove it. So what do you do with that? I cut my teeth on the stories and the pride of having ancestors who were hardworking farmers and the early business owners in this region, and I felt a deep sense of pride in this, and also that I must carry the knowledge that they also lived on stolen land and profited from the genocide of thousands of people. So what would you do? Well, here's what I do. I accept my history and I work to correct it. I sit in the discomfort and the pride because both are true, and I don't run from it. I accept that I will get it wrong because it's not about me being right. It's about asking questions and listening and then trying and failing and learning and coming back to the table again and again and listening without the overlay of shame that is what keeps me stuck and not able to hear what I need to do to help. When we become unwilling to sit in the discomfort of something like shame, we stop accepting the truth of what is, and that is what it makes it so difficult for us to change. It's also kind of like this. Rather than becoming immobile by my wish that the war on Gaza wasn't happening, and stuck in my ignorances of the nuances of the history of that region, I accept that it's happening. I accept that the shame of my ignorance. You know, I was raised here in Peterborough, taught by Peterborough teachers, raised with Peterborough folks. Why would I know anything about what was happening? And I accept that I'm powerless to stop what is happening, and it's in the acceptance of my discomfort I can more fully see what I will and will not tolerate. And in this instance, it's the killing of thousands of women and children, and I embrace my responsibility as a human to use what power and platforms I have to speak out against it. And accept the fury and the worry that some people, maybe even my friends, may publicly call me names for that. Or if I bring it in just a little closer to home, the mental health and mental wellness of thousands of Ontarians, which we heard a lot about folks' mental health struggles this morning. And as a nurse in our community, I am innately aware of that pain, and I'm also aware that I can no longer work and stay healthy if I work in a system that appears to disregard the work and the worth of nurses. And I also deeply believe in our public healthcare system, and I also need to make money. Existing only in the push and pull of accepting all of the conflicting emotions is what keeps accepting the conflicting emotions of these realities is what keeps me frozen. I can't help as a nurse. I'm unable to contribute to my family because I wish that my reality was other than what it was. And this is what I see about women, identifying women in my, this is what I see in my women identifying clients too. The deep suffering and lack of forward movement that comes from wishing things were other than they actually are. The energy and time that we spend wishing for things to be different is interpreted by our brains as activity or movement. Our brain actually signals to us, at least I'm doing something, so we don't have to do anything. And even though I know the science around avoiding discomfort, it didn't change the fact that people were still unhappy and unhealthy and suffering all around me. So I embraced the discomfort of witnessing the mental health struggles and the knowledge that I could no longer work in the public healthcare system. It does still feel awful, admitting and embracing this. And I accepted I was going to have to work in a for-profit healthcare. This still makes me cringe, but to date, Acceptance Nurse Psychotherapy has helped to take hundreds of people off years-long wait lists for mental health care, which has in turn shortened those lists. My associates and I have seen the mental health of thousands of people improve based on our timely care. I can accept the pride in what we have accomplished and the discomfort of knowing we are doing it outside of a system in which nurses are expected to work. Otherwise, without acceptance, people, including me, would still be suffering. And if I bring this in a little closer to personally, and I suspect many women here may understand this, especially those of you that are sitting in front of this mirror, I wish my body was 27 again. My brain can see me doing all of the things I could do at 27. Anybody else feel like that? Yeah. And my brain wishes for me to be 27. It won't allow me to accept what my body is able to do now at 47, which means I'm missing out on doing some things simply because I refuse to accept I can't do others. I can see some of your nods even all the way to the back. I am working on this, and I wonder what might we be able to do if we accept where our bodies are at and tolerate the discomfort in acknowledging we are no longer able to do what our 27-year-old body could do. What could be possible for us? So, to sum it all up, acceptance of yourself, your history, your story, acceptance of others, of events, of others' behaviors does not mean you like it. It doesn't mean that you embrace a decision made by another. It doesn't mean you are comfortable with it. It doesn't mean that you believe in it. It does not mean that you tolerate it. What acceptance does mean is the willingness to sit in the discomfort of what is happening to you or to others and to stay and marinate it in it long enough for the most right move, however small, to begin to emerge, and then accepting your responsibility to yourself and to others to do it. Well, I'd like to leave you with this question. What discomfort, if you accepted it, would lead to the most positive and profound change for yourself and other women? And I'd really love to hear your answers after the event. Thank you for listening, and thank you for having me here today to share.
It's a lot of love.